The first thing that comes to mind is 2020. I feel like comes to a lot of people's minds when a lot of topics come up. But I would say 2020 is when I really began to find my voice. I always had one, but I began to really come into it in 2020 for a couple reasons. First being that I had recently started really taking seriously my relationship with God. And when the pandemic really was in full flow, I like half of Gen Z got on TikTok and I began to just share videos about my journey, about learning and reading the Bible for the first time on my own. And, doing that, people started following me and they started commenting and they would reach out and say, like, I'm struggling with this too, or I'm learning this at the same time as you. And so that was one of the first moments where I was like, oh, I can say things and they matter and people listen and they can help people and I want to keep doing this. And so I've done that ever since. And then I started going to protests and I ended up leading protests, leading marches, speaking at protests. And I remember there was this one, there were hundreds of people there. And I just got on top of this building as people were giving speeches. And I was just yelling my heart out to this people. And I just remember this feeling of like, dang, my voice matters. And dang, I have something to say.
Wow.
And to really have the attention of a bunch of people, many of whom didn't even look like me, and to hear them listen, to hang on every word. And I'm like, I think that was one of the moments that really shook me of I need to keep saying something. And, you know, especially when it's something that might not be always talked about, especially when it might be something that people don't often hear about, especially in certain communities where there's not a lot of people who look like me, you
Yeah.
know? And so I think those were some really amazing opportunities to be able to share my own story and to know that not only are the people who can relate to my story and who can, experience some sort of, healing and freedom when they know that they're not alone in that, but to share that perspective with others who could have never really known what it felt like for me to grow up in predominantly white spaces my whole life. They couldn't have known. And so I think just that was when I really began to learn that my voice matters, what I say matters, what I've experienced matters, and that like that's how we're going to move forward. Like we can't move forward without talking about it. I think that was when I began to really start learning that.
Wow.